for me. Blood in my dog and I can't see. I'm trying to be what I'm destined to be. And niggas trying to take my life away. I put a hole in a nigga for food.
What's up, YouTube? I am in the Ram today because I'm going to pick up another vehicle. So I got the trailer hooked up and let's get over to my buddy Steve's house and see what he's got for us. Let's see if I can get this thing off the trailer by myself without running into anything. No brakes. Does have steering, no brakes. Well, that was a success. So I got the new car unloaded. Time to show it to you. Oh man. Sometimes I question my choices, but once you hear me out, I think you'll agree this was a good decision. So this is a 89 Mazda FC RX7 convertible. It is the first year of the S5. As you can see, it's a total gem. But it has a lot of good parts. It has a nice condition S5 dash with climate control and trim, and the clock bezel up there, and the gauge cluster surround. All that stuff's really nice condition and hard to find, and people want a lot of money for that stuff. The other good stuff that it has is front subframe, steering rack, brake booster, windshield wiper assembly and motor and all that. It's got the pop-up headlights. It's 5-lug. It's got clean doors, clean rear quarter panels, nice clean trunk. Also has rear subframe and rear diff and axles and all that stuff. Let me go show you why I got this. So in the gym, well, in the shop, I have a little gym set up to exercise. Here's Reese's car, my 12-year-old daughter. So if you haven't seen the previous video, we picked this up for a smoking deal. A kid and his grandpa built this car like 15 years ago. Has a 13B turbo swap. They undercoated the whole chassis, wheel wells, undercarriage, everything. A full genuine Bombex body kit was installed. They shaved the door handles. They made a custom vented hood for the turbo swap. And they got these super rare East Bear headlights on it. So I got the car for a great deal because the grandpa passed away years ago and the kid just let it sit for a long time. And he couldn't get it to run anymore. Also, you can see at some point there was some body damage here. I got the story about it, but regardless, he tried to have it fixed and just never put any primer or anything on it. So you can see it just sat out for a long time like this and just rusted through. Luckily, a good buddy of mine already sent me a chopped section off of one of his shells. So I have that actually in the trunk right there, ready to go on. Another thing that they did that we don't like is they kind of molded the body kit on. So you can see it's kind of molded. I don't know if it's Bondo or caulking or whatever. But even though it's all fastened on, they kind of molded it. You can see it's all cracked out. And then in some spots it's not. You can see the rear part, it's all molded on. But this is all cracked out. So yeah, there's a few things about this car that we don't like, but it is a really nice car for what it is. And I got it running and it runs great. So some of the things that we want to change on it are obviously the 4-lug. We want to swap it to 5-lug. Another thing that we would like to change is the taillights. We don't really like the color matched taillights on it. So I've been looking for another set of OEM taillights. Something my daughter really doesn't like, and I don't blame her, is these East Bear headlights. They're super cool and they have their own look, but she really likes pop-up headlights. So I've been on the hunt for some of those. Also, I've got some upgrades to do to the engine, and one of them is a front mount intercooler setup. So if we do that, there's not going to be any need for the vent anymore. We're still on the fence if we're going to do the front mount or leave it. If we leave it, I'm going to end up swapping this hood out for a factory turbo hood that has the nice vent that goes into the hood instead of this thing. So now that you know all the stuff that we wanted to change on it, while I've been on the hunt, my buddy Steve hit me up about that shell. Obviously he's got the pop-ups, so we needed those. He also has the vert taillight setup, which is really cool looking when you put them on these. So he's got those in the trunk of that car. I didn't show them to you because they were in the trunk, but he has the full taillight assembly with the center garnish. So we're getting the pop-ups, the taillight assembly, and it has 5 lug. So now that you know the plan for this thing, it may not seem like such a dumb deal. And I got it for about as cheap as you can get anything for these days. So it really made sense to just get this out of his way. He's like, you know what, just take the car. That way I don't have to deal with any of it. I would like to get this shell out of here, and we have a small list of things that we need off this. Obviously, along with the things that we're gonna use on Reese's car, there's a lot of things on this chassis that are still worth money and usable to people. Like I was showing you all the steering setup stuff, the subframes, the diff, the axles, the dash, the trim pieces around the dash. All that stuff is super expensive and hard to find these days. So I'm probably gonna get it on the lift and take everything that I need off of it and then throw it right back onto my trailer and haul it out of here. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. Well, it's been about 2 hours now that this vert shell's been here, and I'm already getting sick of it. I was gonna wait till Reese got home from school so I could make her help me work on this stuff, but I don't want to stare at that thing very long. First step's gonna be to get the VQ hatch. It's not on the lift right now, but it's in the lift spot, so I gotta get that moved. And then Jessica's gonna help me push that shell onto the lift. Well, since I moved this, I thought I'd go ahead and go take it for a test drive with the new coilovers and stuff on. Drives great, doesn't seem to rub anywhere, so I think the ride height is gonna be pretty good. And Jessica and I went ahead and pushed the FC shell in here, so now I'm going to get it on the lift and raise it up, get the wheels off, and check all the hubs. And if all the hubs seem like the bearings are good and the brakes and the brake calipers all seem to be good, then I'm going to go ahead and yank all the hub assemblies off with the brakes. Well, I got all the wheels off and they seem to all be spinning pretty freely, and maybe even newer bearings because you can see how nice they are inside. Besides all the surface rust, the rotors are pretty much smooth. There's no edge on them, so that tells me the rotors are probably newer. The pads need to be replaced, but that's fine. These are upgraded brakes, and you can see that they're 5 lug. So these are the turbo brakes with the 5 lug hubs, which will be an awesome swap for Reese's car. Since it has a turbo swap, it'd be nice to have the 5 lug and the turbo brakes too. So the next step is going to be to take the front hubs off. And you can see I've already got one side off. Pretty straightforward. You just take this nut off, take these bolts out, remove the outer tie rod, and then remove the bottom bolt of the sway bar so you can push this down to get the knuckle off of it. So now I'm going to do the other side, and then we'll move to the rear. Now this thing's starting to get a little rear heavy. I can almost lift it off the front of the lift. So now I'm gonna move to the back. Before I pull the front and subframe out, I'm gonna go ahead and get the rear brakes off and the rear hubs, and then probably go ahead and drop the rear subframe with the diff and axles. And then once I do that, I can yank out the front subframe with the steering components. Taking a break from the cars because the neighbors called and their goat's having a baby and nobody's home.
How are they?
So me and Kai, they have a camera on it, I guess. Me and Kai are gonna go over there and make sure it's okay.
Here it is.
Huh?
I like baby goats.
Well, that was a little exciting. They came home right when I got over there. The baby's head was a little twisted back, but it was fine. Pulled it out a little bit, started breathing just fine, and then they showed up. Well, as you can see, I got the rear knuckles off. I'm not super familiar with these chassis, so the easiest way I found to get the knuckle and brake assembly all off together was to take this traction arm off with it, which is just one bolt there, one tie rod bolt style, the coilover, the axle, and then this one wouldn't come out. I'm assuming you have to lower the subframe to get that out, so I just went ahead and chopped this open and then cut the bolt, and it all came out. So I think next I'm going to go ahead and pull the axles off, since it's just 4 bolts. Get those out of the way. I'll pull the struts out since they hang down lower than the body. These aren't dragging on the ground. So axles are coming off, struts are going in the recycling, and then it'll be front and rear subframes coming out. Rear subframe and diff assembly is out. That was not that bad at all. You got one brace that goes like straight down, so you disconnect that. Then you got bolts back here and nuts on this side. So now I'm going to move on to the front. I disconnected all the power steering lines, and I took the bolts out of the rack so that I can drop the rack and the subframe all together. And it should be pretty straightforward, just nuts and bolts on both sides, and it should drop right out. So I've got most of the stuff off of it that I want, except for the headlight assemblies and the taillights that are in the trunk. So I'm gonna call it a day. The kids are home from school, and Reese has soccer practice. So tomorrow I'll get back at it. Well, the moment's finally come. I'm actually here at the county office submitting the permit for PARC Drift. Wish me luck. Boom. So what parts are we gonna keep?
This little red thing, the doors, and that, I think that's all.
And the dash. Then we're gonna take the dash and cluster out. And the trunk, the doors, and these little pieces here, because Reese can use those for spares. And I'm tired of looking at this thing, so it's gonna get put on the trailer and go to the scrap. That was a good quarter panel. Got the VQ hatch outside because we're gonna put the FC vert shell on the trailer. So we got it back on the lift. I should have just done this the other day. And now Jessica's gonna try to stick this trailer under the car, I think. I think that's what she's trying to do. No pressure. Hold on, you're gonna hit the, let me guide you. I can't believe she got it pretty much the first try. Keep going. A little bit. That's good. All right, got it off the jacks. Go ahead. Well, believe it or not, this thing had a good clean dash. So I got that out, Now I'm just gonna finish taking these boxes and hoses out because a few people that hit me up to come by the dash this weekend, they wanted those units. And then I'm gonna take these hood hinges off because somebody might need those. And I think I'll be done. You can hit it. You have to throw it hard. You got it.
Oh, look at that.
We're on our way to the scrap yard with this vert shell that we picked up from our buddy Steve to get some parts off of it for Reese's FC. What all did we take off of it, Reese?
The 5-lug conversion, the new brakes, tail lights, and then pop-up headlights.
You really wanted the pop-ups, huh? You don't like those bug eyes that are on it? Well, let's see if they're gonna grab this thing with the claw or just drag it off the trailer. Hopefully it's the claw.
Yeah.
Well, big update on PARC. So as you just saw, I was able to file the new permit today. So the county is going to go through the permit that I just submitted and make sure everything's good. And if it's all good, then they're going to have, I think, a 20-day period to let all the neighboring properties know that the permit's been filed. So it'll give them a chance to submit a statement of approval or denial, or their opinion or complaints or whatever, just like they did last time. So I'm sure the same people that filed complaint statements last time are probably going to do it again. And then once that process is done, I think it's like a 45 to 60-day window to go back and forth on things that they want me to include or exclude or change or modify, or go into a decision right off the bat, or go into a third-party mediator. I hope you guys are all ready to help out if it comes to a trial, and I can get us to have an in-person hearing, so that way people can show up and show their support and try to help out. So stay up to date on these for that reason. And if it does come to that, I'm gonna let you guys know with as much notice as possible, so you guys can prepare either statements to email or mail in, or to show up in person. Also, big success on Reese's car, some progress. That shell's gone. I was able to make some bucks on it. I sold a bunch of stuff off that thing already. So I think that's it for this video, guys. As always, thanks for the support. Like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for more updates on PARC, as well as what we've got going on in the shop. Peace.